my name is Denny Davenport. I'm doing a report on my genealogy. I have come to find out that I'm Native American, German, French, Italian, European, and Irish. So I'm pretty much a mutt. But as it goes, I went back as far as my father's great great grandparents, and those are Davenport, Tally, and just Davenports and Tallies. On my mother's side, it goes Butcher, Hill, and Chapman. I've also found out that there is a city in West Virginia where my grandparents are originally from called Chapmansville. They were the founders of this city, and it's named after them. Also, I have a Davenport family cemetery in Aiken, South Carolina, and I come to find out that there is a lot of people with the same name and birth dates that are not my family, but have the exact same name and birth dates as my grandparents and family members. I also see on the family has always talked about my family has always talked about my past. So I've kind of sort of known about where I come from and my background, but I never really did the research on it myself. I just always took it for what my family's passed on through the generations of talking about where we've come from and who we are and our lineage. And my grandmother says that it goes back to one of the queens of England, but I couldn't find that information. I'll have to look further and further into it. So I would like to do the what you call it, the what is that called, the 23andMe DNA search, or the ancestry that does the DNA, to really find out more of where I come from. But as far as I could get was only names and dates of my family members who are alive and who died, and where they're buried, and where they came from, and their high schools. Like my mother went to Miramar High School, my father went to MacArthur High School, both in Hollywood, Florida. My grandparents went to school in West Virginia. I think it was Rawlins, West Virginia, Rawlins, West Virginia. My grandmother on my father's side went to school in Greenville, South Carolina, and I found a lot of pictures in the high schools with the same names, but they weren't them. Their pictures were way different. It wasn't the same people, and I don't know. I got my family tree here. What I found out. So I don't know if you can see it. I got a camera operator with me trying to help me a little bit. So, what was the question?
How is this research enhanced who your identity is?
It hasn't really enhanced my identity, I could say. I always knew where I came from, but it gave me a better insight with facts that I know now where exactly I came from. It's not just hearsay, it's actual facts I have on paper. So, my dad and my grandfather were both outlaw motorcycle riders, and I also ride motorcycles. I guess it's in my DNA. It must be in the blood because I'm third generation motorcycle rider. My grandfather on my mom's side, he came from a life of coal mining. His father and his father before him, they were all coal miners in West Virginia. And my grandfather moved to Florida in the 50s to get away from being a coal miner, and came down to Florida and opened up a body shop and started doing that. He's now retired, but that's what he did. And my dad and my grandfather, on my dad's side, my grandfather was killed, and I don't want to get into that, but my dad and my grandfather are both deceased, and they're at the Davenport Cemetery in Aiken County, South Carolina. Um, and my grandparents on my mom's side are still alive. Lois and Lawrence Butcher, they're still alive. My mom's still alive. My grandmother